Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm sharing an off-the-grid shack that I made near the volcano in Sulani, and I want to do this because with the most recent patch we did get the off-the-grid lot trade, and I thought it'd be a really fun challenge to build with that and deal with the restrictions that come with it. I'm also going to be using this build in my Island Living Let's Play. It's not going to be a build that we actually play in, but in that series, in case you haven't seen it, we're following two roommates. One is a Sulani native and the other one has recently moved to Sulani. And the sim who is a Sulani native has a grandfather who I placed on the house that was originally here. And I was saying that I thought it'd be really fun to make a new off-the-grid shack for him that's a little bit more personalized. And I actually thought the house that was originally here was off-the-grid, but it turns out it wasn't. But I still thought this was a perfect place for an off-the-grid house because, I mean, it's on a secluded island at the base of volcanoes, so I feel like it's a place that not many people would choose to live, and I feel like it's a place that plumbing and electricity wouldn't really be run to, so I just see this whole island and part of the world as being off the grid. And as far as the grandfather goes, his traits are child of the island, loner, and loves the outdoors. And then I also gave him the angling ace of aspirations, so I just see him as someone who really likes being in nature, being away from everyone else, not, just kind of being away from technology, just really being able to fully surround himself by nature and be somewhere that is pristine, or at least was pristine, because I believe as soon as you start a game with Sulani, this part of the world will gradually become more and more polluted. I think I read that this is the part of the world where most of the pollution shows up, so yeah, this is a place that was once pristine, and that's what he loved about it, but, more people started to visit it, so there's starting to be trash that's showing up, and the water's starting to look a little bit less clean, which I feel he definitely would not be happy about at all, but I think it definitely will be fun to visit this lot in the Let's Play. I think maybe in part 4 we'll go here, because I have some other things I wanted to do in the next part, but I think part 4 we'll spend a majority of the part up here, like check out the waterfall, visit his house here, and hang out with him for a little bit. So I think that'll be really fun. And it might be cool if we can maybe even see the volcanic activity lot tree take effect. I feel like that's a pretty rare thing, so I don't think we would really see anything with that. But who knows? Either way, I'm really looking forward to that part and when we get to visit him up here. And this house also has a separate bathroom. Like, it's just kind of this external building away from the house, which I thought kind of went with the off-the-grid thing, but I know it's probably very unnecessary. Like, I've watched some videos of people showing their off-the-grid houses, and, a lot of them don't have this kind of a thing, but the house that was originally here had this separate bathroom, and I thought that was a neat quirk of the lot, so that's something that I wanted to keep. And I think the original house had that because it was supposed to be kind of like a camp, like the description said that it was the first and potentially last stop for any conservationists looking to make it to the volcano. So I think that's why they did it, because it's supposed to be somewhere that people pass through on the way to the volcano. So maybe you want to have a separate bathroom for people to just pop into. But I still thought that was something neat for this. Like, I was kind of imagining it was a situation where her grandfather found this shack up here that was a little rough, and he purchased it and fixed it up, added some modern amenities to it, made a little kitchen in there, and then just built a separate structure for the plumbing. I don't know, maybe there's reasons why he would want to keep it away from the house, like odors, or maybe just makes it easier to set up, or that kind of a thing. And I feel like he's someone who would spend a majority of this time outside anyway, so I think it kind of works out well that it's outside, because you don't have to bother with going through the house to get to the bathroom. It's just right there. So I feel like for this sim and this lot, it's something that does work out pretty well, even if it does seem a little odd and unnecessary. And I also had a lot of fun with the landscaping on this lot. It took me a little bit to figure out what to do with it, because this lot does have this dirt terrain all over, which I'm not used to, but once I got going with it, it came together pretty well, and I had a lot of fun making more lush landscaping with the plants that came with Island Living, because the other two builds I've done in Sulani have been on the half sand, half water lots. So it was really nice to take a break from that and do a build on a lot like this. And I also did, I think I've done it at this point, but I did a little bit with the terrain manipulation. I just made some slight hills to it just to, make it not perfectly flat. As I said many times in speed builds, I feel like that's something that adds a nice subtle bit of realism to the lot while not making it look too out of place in the world. It's just kind of fun how we got these pathways that go to the garden and then go to the outhouse and then go to that second garden I put in the back, which I do actually get rid of shortly. And then I also added the drying or the clothes drying line and the wash oven here. I mean, that's something you definitely have to have on an off-the-grid lot. Although I did hear there are some issues with the wash basin, because you would think that would be something that was fully functional with the off-the-grid lot tray, because I mean, that's why it was made. It was made because the Laundry Day stuff pack that it came with was chosen as, because you know, with that whole community vote thing that was done, I think we voted for an Eco Living pack first. And then when it came time to vote for the features, that's when Laundry Day was chosen. So it's supposed to be this kind of eco-friendly pack, and that's why they included these things in it. So it's just bonkers to me that the wash tub doesn't work perfectly, because I play tested a little bit. I didn't actually use the wash basin, but I did have the option to add stuff to it. And I did see someone on Twitter post a picture of how they're not able to refill it due to a lack of plumbing. I want to say it was Iron Seagull who posted the picture. I'm not 100% sure though, but what I think the deal is, I really should have play tested this and I meant to, but I forgot. But I think what it is you can wash your clothes in it once and then you can't actually refill it because it thinks it's plumbing, which is stupid. I need to actually test that out myself just to be sure of that. But I still added it anyway because I feel like I feel like it should work, and I'm annoyed that it doesn't work fully. Or maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe it's just an issue that popped up for that person. I'm not really completely sure. But still, it's there because it does work. It is unfortunate, though, that the off-the-grid lot tray does have some flaws. Like, there's some things you think would be off-the-grid that aren't, and then some things that do work with off-the-grid that seem like they shouldn't, although that's far fewer items. But I did go ahead and replace that garden I put in the back with a fire pit, because I thought that we didn't really need 2 garden areas on this lot. I thought that this would be a bit better. And oh yeah, here I was pulling those twigs out of the debug menu because I wanted to look like kindling that was piled up next to the fire. I thought that would just be a really fun detail. And then when I was looking for those, I also found that little water bucket. I think it's the water bucket that materializes when they put out the fires from the fire pits that came with Outdoor Retreat, because I think that's a pack that was sorted under. But still, I thought it was kind of cool to have a water bucket there, like it's just ready to go to put out the fire. And then I also stuck that barbecue pit a little further down from that. So you do have that as a way to make food on this lot as well, in addition to the stove that I put inside. So I thought that was something really neat to have, and I wanted to have those traditions of Sulani on this lot. And then over here, I'm just pulling some plants out of the buy debug menu to fill up the garden. So in this garden, I placed some coconut trees and pineapple trees, which are the new harvestables that came with this world. I think there's also a kava root one. I think that's another harvestable. I saw that when I was looking through the buy debug menu. And then apart from that, we've got some plantains and some avocado trees. So I was trying to go for more tropical type plants in here. It's a fairly small garden, but I was imagining that he makes money off of selling those at the market and also through fishing, because he does have that angling ace aspiration. So I did also stick the fish trap on the lot in a little bit. So just kind of imagine he spends a lot of his day going down to the water and fishing, and then sells that along with this fruit, and that's how he supports himself. And you do get a bill reduction with the off-the-grid lot, which is nice. It does say when you pick the lot trait that there's no utilities, but then I saw other people saying on Twitter that they got charged with bills, and then apparently it's an issue with what it says when you choose a lot trait. Like, it's actually supposed to say reduce bills, not no bills. So either the trait description's wrong or people are having glitches. Either way, like something's going a little wrong with it there. And then I also stuck a bunch of those tiki torches all over the yard to help light things up at night. And I gotta say, I was kind of worried that building an off-the-grid lot like this would be really frustrating, but it was actually really fun, and I definitely want to do more off-the-grid lots. I mean, it definitely was a little bit frustrating because there was things I was trying to add, and then I would realize that they wouldn't work, but I think it would be really fun to do an off-the-grid family home a little down the road, like maybe on the lot on this island that has that shipwreck on it. Because I think that was a 50 by 50 lot, so it could be kind of cool to build a house that's a bit larger than this, like not something that's huge. You know, it's kind of like this where it's maybe a little bit on the rundown side, but it's furnished for a family, and it's got like 3 bedrooms in it, maybe 4 bedrooms. And then you got all this land around it where I can just have a bunch of gardens. I think that would be something really fun. So I might do that a little down the road after I do some other builds here in Sulani, and I also have another build for this world that I finished. So I made an island living and base game only starter home. So the video for that I'm aiming to have up on Sunday, and then on Friday I'm aiming to have the next part of the island living let's play up in case any of you are wondering when that's going to be up. So I'm really excited about those videos. And then I have an idea for a couple of other builds I want to do here in Sulani, and I know at some point I need to take a break from doing builds here and do builds in other worlds, but for the time being, I'm just having so much fun building this world, and I'm just really inspired to do it, so I might just build in this world until that inspiration runs out. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but we'll see. But right now I'm on to the inside of the house, so I'm trying to figure out the kitchen. I did stick a fridge here, even though the fridges aren't fully functional because we don't have power, but when I was playtesting, there are some things you can do with a fridge, like I was able to make garden salad from it and fruit salad with it, so you can still make stuff like that out of it, and you are still able to pull quick meals out of it, like I think you can make cereal and applesauce and stuff like that. So even though it's not fully functional, I think it is still useful to have a fridge on this lot. And then that stove there is one of the few stoves that work, and I was kind of surprised that this one did, because the idea is that you can only cook with gas here. And that looks like an electric stove, not a gas stove, but I think the idea was that they were using, like there was a stove that came with the base game that, like the more old-fashioned one that I think was supposed to be like a wood-burning stove or gas stove or something like that. I believe that one works. And then other than that, some of the cheaper ones. So I think they're just kind of going with like, oh, it's so cheap that it works for this, like it's rustic. Yeah, that kind of seems what they did for some of it. Like it's just mainly the cheaper stuff that works. Like that's how the toilets are too. Like, I believe the cheapest base game toilet works with the off-the-grid lot trait, but I still use that crappy, like, just that weird-looking handmade toilet in there anyway, because I thought that suited a little bit more. And then that sink that I stuck in here also works with the off-the-grid lot trait. So I was glad that there was actually a sink that was functional. There were a few, but this is the one that I like the most. And I actually like how the paint on it goes with the stove and the fridge. That made me very happy. And I just like the kind of chipped look that it has. And I was also glad to see that that lantern that came with Outdoor Retreat also worked with this trait. I wasn't sure if it would because I think some of the other lanterns, like the oil lanterns, don't work, but then that one does. But I was glad that there was something other than a candle that works. So we got a couple of those in the kitchen. The unfortunate thing about the slot trait is that the lighting's a little tricky. And the thing I found that you have to do is, because anytime you place a light, it'll be on. Like even if it's something that won't work with the slot trait, it'll still work. So what you have to do is place lights down and then remove the lot trait and put it back on. And then when you put it back on, any lights that don't work will turn off. So that's something you have to do to check that. And something else about the kitchen is that I did place the kava bowl on the counter, and it's in a spot where I know you can't use it. But I figured that was fine because it's a draggable item, like it's something that you can stick in your inventory and just kind of place on different surfaces without going into build mode. So I figure that's fine because if you want to use it, you can move it over to that completely free counter and use it there. And then when you're done with it, you can just stick it back in your inventory. I didn't want to leave it there because I have found that with a kava bowl, I believe you have to have a fully free surface like when you're cooking. So I didn't want to take up that one free surface with a kava bowl. So yeah, I figured that was fine, that you can just drag it there whenever you need to use it. But now we're on to this kind of indoor-outdoor living area. And this is probably my favorite part of the inside of the house. Like it just kind of looks out towards the volcano. I mean, that's probably the less scenic way to look from this lot because the other way is the beach, but that's just kind of how the loudest position. I thought it would make more sense to have the front of the house face you as you're walking up the hill rather than you walk up the hill to the back of the house. But the unfortunate thing is that means you do get the less scenic view looking out from the living room here, but it's still pretty. You know, it's still a very tranquil kind of a scene, and you know, if the volcano erupts, you can see the lava coming for you, so I guess that's kind of good too, although you'd probably know that's happening before it gets to that point. But I just think this room feels so cozy, and that chess table that came with Outdoor Retreat actually fit in here really well. So just kind of fun to find those things that you wouldn't think would work together that do. And then I just kind of did the thing I did in the last build where I stuck that chair that looks like a drum next to the guitar, so it's kind of like just some instruments they have in the corner, and then I think I already placed it. Maybe I placed the bookshelf a little later on, but we do have a bookshelf out there as well. And then here in the bedroom, I added that diving supply shelf because, you know, I'm kind of imagining that he also likes to do a little bit of snorkeling, so we just got all that stuff in there. And other than that, we just got the bedroom basics in here. We just got the dresser, the bed. We've got a standing mirror. I'm not sure if the dresser works where I put it. I forgot to playtest that, but the mirror does work. So I figure that's fine since you can do everything you can do with a dresser with a mirror. I mean, they might be able to get to the dresser there. There's a little bit of space between the foot of the bed and the dresser. But for the most part, the things that really need to function with this build should function with it. Because with using the slot trait, I wanted to be especially sure that everything worked completely. And there was this one candle that, I think it was I want to say it was no, not the Laundry Day stuff candle. It was the backyard stuff candle, I think. That candle I thought would have, the one that's on the dining room table, I thought that one would have worked with this trait. Like, it's a candle, it should, but it doesn't. So I think they definitely have some kinks that they need to work out with this slot trait, because when I did go to playtest, I noticed that was out. So I ended up swapping it out for the same one that I used on the dresser, which fortunately does work. So the last thing I'm doing here is furnishing the bathroom, or, kind of finishing everything up. Beforehand, you saw me just kind of sticking the basics in here, just trying to find what worked and make sure I could get everything in there. But apart from that, we just got a couple candles in here, and I stuck this candle in here again and then found out it didn't work, so I ended up replacing it with the lantern from Outdoor Retreat, which did make it a bit better lit here, so that was good. But I do like how those candles look on top of the cabinet. Like, it just kind of gives this bathroom a very warm, cozy feel, despite it not really being the nicest bathroom. But we are almost at the end of the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link to do so in the description. There'll be other stuff in there, how to find it in-game. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.